Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Hold the Ball, HCB. Hope all's well, hope all is good. I come to you guys on this fresh Monday afternoon, and as you can see, I'm all decked out, ready for this game that's going to be happening in a few weeks' time, where the Blues take on the Maroons, and I believe this time around it's going to be over at New South Wales. So it's a home game for the Blues, and I'm looking forward to that one there. I've got a feeling it's going to be over in Newcastle anyway from what's happening. But yeah, look, without further ado, let's get into it. So the New South Wales squad is Tedesco, To'o, Mitchell, Trbojevic, Josh Adokar, Whiten, Moses, Haas, Cook, Bolo, Murray, Sims, and Yeo. That is the 13. And then the bench is Goroisau, Crichton, Finucane, and Martin. If you've noticed there, I didn't name Saifiti. It's been reported this morning that he is injured, and I just assumed that Haas would move up and then Finucane would move into the bench. So yeah, that's it. And then Hines, as well as mentioned, is the 18th man. Queensland have Ponga, Holmes, Gagai, Tabuai-Fidow, Coates, Munster, Daly Cherry Evans, Welch, Hunt, Papali, Capewell, Kaufusi, and Arrow. That is the 13. And then the bench is Brimson, Fasua Maliawi, Fotuaika, Fifita, Molo, Mann, and Flegler. From Molo, Mann, and Flegler, those are the 18 to 20. It must be noted as well that Fifita is currently under review, as he's been charged by the NRL for a contact against the Raiders, so it's still pending. But I'm assuming that if he's unable to play Game 3, then obviously you'd have most likely Flegler move into his position. So those are the teams. Now, what's happened so far? Game 1, New South Wales won 50-6. Game 2, New South Wales won 26-0. Game 3, what's going to happen here? As you can see, the aggregate so far is a difference of 76 points to 6, one more game remaining. Now, in terms of history, New South Wales could end up making this the most one-sided Origin series in the history of Origin series to date by beating the Maroons team. And I believe they've just got to beat them by, 10 points or at least win by at least 10 points or something like that to actually have the highest margin. Now, to be fair with you, this looks like a very potent Blues team, which I'll get into as the teams. But at saying that as well, obviously you've got to bring into consideration the pride, right, that Queensland are facing. However, it's a home game for New South Wales, and I don't think they'll be letting off that easy. So for me, I've got some talking points as well. Obviously, as you can see, these are Mitchell Moses, who makes his debut, as well as Goroisau for New South Wales. And then for Queensland, you've got Tabuai-Fidow. Kalyn Ponga as well makes his return at fullback, as mentioned, which will add a different dynamic to Queensland, who have probably missed a bit of that strike as well, to be fair. And he adds a good game as well and will be handy for the Queensland team. Again, no mention of Walsh. I think he's recovering from his injury. And look, it's probably best for him to lay low a bit and see what happens next year. Some of the talking points as well for New South Wales is the combination, the 6 and 7. Obviously, there were people who were saying Walker, Reynolds, anyone but Whiten and Moses. And well, here you go. This is who Freddie Fittler has chosen. And I guess first things first, you've got to see Whiten, can he deliver? I mean, he's come from the Raiders and he hasn't been performing the best. Even in Origin, he hasn't been really standout. I mean, I get it. He's played small minutes, but you sort of get what I'm trying to get at here. How is Mitchell Moses going to react as well? There's a lot of pressure on these two to give the Blues that 3 in a row, right? That's it. This is the reality. Moses and Whiten have to click. They need to just be able to deliver. Again, looking at the backs too, I'm sure you'll have Trbojevic, Latrell Mitchell running amok. There's Tedesco there too as well. I'm sure he's hurting from that Roosters game. So there's a whole lot of incentive for some of these players. And then I guess just a whole heap of, momentum too. Looking at the forwards as well. The first game, I was actually really worried about how the forwards will go. I actually gave Queensland the upper hand there, and well, you know what happened next. Especially when you add in Finucane, who'll jump into Haas's spot while Haas takes over Saifiti's spot. Again, you've got experience, you've got grit, you've got somebody from that Storm system. It just bodes well overall for New South Wales. And again, going to be looking at Goroisau as well for the Blues. That's another talking point because he had a great game against the Eels last week. How will he adapt to this team here? He's been in the Blues camp for the last couple of games too, by the way, so I'm sure he's going to be not too unfamiliar with the game plans, and to be quite honest, he might be ready and if anything more potent than Cook, but we'll have to wait and see. But it's great that he's there. So again, a whole heap of mystery surrounding that. And I guess the last sort of point as well with the Blues, I touched on it as well, is the backs. Latrell Mitchell, Trbojevic, To'o, Josh Adokar, Tedesco. Those 5 players alone give nightmares to our Queensland fans as well as their players. Is there a time for them to kick it up a notch? I think so. Again, with the Queensland team that has been picked with the backs, it could be a training day for some of these players. Now, I'm not saying that in an insulting way. I'm just saying, well, you've got Tabuai there at defence, you've got Gagai, and you've got Trbojevic and Mitchell, and Trbojevic likes to snoop around. You've got To'o there as well. You've got Josh Adokar. This is going to be a very physical matchup. Whoever opposes To'o, it's going to Coates. You know, again, it's just, we'll see what happens there. But these are it's sort of pointing towards New South Wales direction. You know, even if you look at it from an open view, that is the reality. Now, that is sort of like my summation there. For Queensland, I've got 3 talking points. One is the backs defense, as mentioned before. How are they going to be able to adjust to the onslaught of New South Wales and their attacking players, especially when you're talking about the second rows as well. Queensland have shown that their edge row defense is not the best. So again, when you've got players like Murray and Sims running off them, then you bring in Crichton as well from the bench. You got Martin. Again, how are they going to deal with it? How is Capel, how is Galfosi going to deal with it? And then again, you've got Holmes, Gagai, Tabuai, Coates, and Ponga. How are they going to deal with this onslaught? They're not the best defensive player. So the question is always going to remain there. What to do? Another point as well to bring up with Queensland is Papali and what game he'll play. In game 2, I'm not sure if you noticed, but I sort of saw him doing the reverse of what Trbojevic did, except on defense. So he was zooming here, he was there, he was everywhere. He was sort of like trying to fill in the gaps, especially when the sleek backs played. So is he going to be implementing the same game plan in there? So what role is Papali going to play? He played so well in that second game, especially when the first 5-10 minutes, there was a lot of Queensland players who were riding off his momentum, and obviously things collapsed. So how can he stand strong in the midst of what's going on? And the last point as well is obviously Munster and DCE. How are they going to respond? This is the 3rd game. It doesn't even matter. The Blues have won. But there's a bit of a consolation prize. It's at least not getting swept 3-0. And these 2 players need to stand up. This is the reality. You've got DCE there who was in tears. Munster as well, I'm sure, was feeling it. Emotionally, this is the game where you think, you know what? This is it. It's time to shine. And this is their best chance to have actually against, which is arguably the most inexperienced, squad of the last 3 games. This is it. You got Whiten and Moses. These 2 halves who, you may be able to sort of throw rocks at Queensland and say, well, we'll win no matter who we have. But to be fair with you, I'm not sure how Whiten and Moses are going to go. Now, I know how DCE and Munster are going to go. They're going to be hurt. They're going to be hungry. They're going to be looking for revenge. And this is the best time to do it. Again, they've got a plethora of players to pass to, right? Again, defensively, you can look at Queensland backs and question it, but I think offensively you can't, though hasn't been the case on the scoreboard, but you still cannot underestimate their firepower. Everything matters when it's on the field, but the reality is, how are Queensland's halves going to stand up this time? How is DCE going to stand up this time? He's the captain. His state there are on the back fence. Things are uncertain, potentially looking down the barrel of a potential 3 and zip. What do you do there? We're going to see. But again, as I said, everything explained. None of it matters. What matters is on the field. But I can tell you what, a lot of players to look out for, I think. For New South Wales, you've got Tedesco, Mitchell, Trbojevic, To'o. You've got Haas as well, Penn Haas. Props to him. I could go on about this guy for days, but I won't. You've got as well as Crichton, and then you've got Finucane as well. Those are probably like the players for me to look out for. Again, we'll see how that Haas pairing goes. I'm not too confident there. For Queensland, you've got Ponga, Tabuai-Fidow. Again, the speed from him. Then you've got obviously the halves. How are they going to step up? You've got Welch, Papali, and then I guess you've got Arrow as well. And as you can see, just quickly, as mentioned before, with the backs, there's been a swap with Capel as well, so he's in the second row. So again, that might help them more. Obviously, Queensland are trying to do things, so we'll see what happens. Now, as I conclude, I just want to make sure again to make this clear. Anything happen in this game, there's no real set winner. In game 3, obviously the Blues will lift the trophy no matter what. But in terms of what the outcome is, there's nothing that is set. Again, you can say this is a new complete New South Wales team as well, right? Especially when you don't have Saifiti playing in the halves players as well. You just don't know what's going to happen. It could probably go worse for him. There's always that as well. And then again, as said before, at the end of the day, I think Queensland are going to be the most hungriest team. But the Blues, hey, if there's any time to get a sweep, it's right now. So there's always that too. So again, two sides to the picture. But my prediction, personally, I predict that New South Wales will be too strong here. I think even though the halves, yes, though I question them, perhaps it might be a slow game at first, but I think you're going to have Tom Trbojevic and co taking over. Wouldn't even be surprised if you see Tom Trbojevic here, there, everywhere on the attack. I've got 46 for New South Wales and 12 for Maroons. So again, Queensland will, I believe, be able to rectify a bit of what's just happened. Will they win the game? No, I don't think so. I think this might be a right run again for New South Wales, especially with those players that I've mentioned many, many times. But look, for me personally, New South Wales 46, Queensland 12. The origin player of the series, it's been pretty tough. Obviously, there's a Blues player that's going to win it. You can look at Tedesco, you can look at Mitchell, you can even look at Cleary, you can even look at Trbojevic. But I think for me personally, the winner here will be Tom Trbojevic. Tom Trbojevic for me will take the cake here, I reckon. He's the dude. He's definitely the player of the series. There's no questions about that. No matter what happens in this game here, he will, to me, win the player of the series. Yeah, that wraps up my review of Origin Game 3. And as you can see, I'm decked out and I'm ready. Go the Blues. I'm looking forward to that and I'm just hopeful they win and it'll be good to get that 3-0, right? I guess that's after the review's done. I've sort of, stopped being a bit down the middle there. Now this is done. It's just Blues all the way, baby. But in saying that, thanks again for watching, guys. There'll be more videos coming. Take it easy. And New South Wales, just remember, hold the ball. Take it easy, guys. And I'll see you guys next time. Up the Blues. The first game, I was actually really worried. The first game, I was actually